And welcome to Talking Paranormal with the Old Man. And as usual, I am the old man. How you doing? Oh, this is I did not do this. This is kind of cool. I'm on my Facebook page. Yeah, I did not do this. It says digital creator. Wow. Woo! I didn't even see that before. I don't know how long that's been up there, but yeah, that's kind of cool. Digital creator. Ooh, it sounds so professional, don't it? Anyways, how y'all doing? Wasn't here last week. I was recovering from the investigation we did on Saturday. So today we are going to, or I'm going to pause the 50 state updates or the 50 state um, haunted locations, I guess. And I'm going to talk about our investigation that we had last Saturday. Haven't gone through any of the shit yet. we, oh my God, we got about, I think it's like 4.5 hours of EVP to go through. We have 4 cameras at about 5 hours each, so about 20 hours of video to watch. I did go through the thermal imaging camera, got a couple of good things on that. Full spectrum camera, didn't get anything that I could see. And our new our tripwire worked out well. Even though I think if it's on for too long, I think you have to reset it because it was going crazy. And the trail cams worked really nice too. And I know that I got an orb, and I know, dude, orbs are dust. Well, yeah, that is true. But when you're in a basement in a hallway that has all concrete and stuff, and the orb goes past you and turns into a room, that's not dust, especially when I'm not moving. Okay, so I set up I'll talk about it when the time comes. So yeah, so again today, I know we're a day early. I'm still recovering. It's been a long week, so I'm going to pause the 50 state tour of haunted places. And I know everyone's like, "Yay, about freaking time!" And I'm sure I'm saying I wasn't on last week. And I know somebody's like, "Really? You weren't on last week, really?" So yeah, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. So I'm going to just going to walk you through. So last Saturday, which was the 18th, we I had rented a 15 passenger van from Enterprise. Picked it up about 10 o'clock. Our son picked me up, then drove me over there. So had that, and then I wanted to be on the road by 11, which we were, which was kid. We were a kid, and packed up. We ourselves have 8 cases of equipment. We have a drone, which I'm in the market for a new drone. That piece of crap, I'll tell you when I get to that point. And we had a new case for the REM pods, a new case for the tripwire. We had a new case for the trail cams. So yes, we had a lot of shit. And then the other two members, which I won't name in case they don't want their name to be named. Um, and they had their own stuff too. Plus we had not that I used them or anything, but some people brought pillows, some people brought blankets to sleep there. But who sleeps during an investigation? You're not there to sleep, man. Just give me one excuse me, give me 1 second here. I was out weeding this morning and I inhaled some dust. So just give me a second to for a limited time only, the A&W root beer float. It's actually pretty good. It says limited edition, but it is pretty good. Yeah. So hold on a second. Okay. Better. Okay. So, and I think I mentioned this last week or last couple 3 or 4 podcasts ago that we 4 hours away in Hoover Heights, Ohio, is a Buc-ee's. We went to Buc-ee's, my first time in Buc-ee's. Woo! It was fun. It was fun. And it's kind of funny because all the way down there, everyone in the van is like, Buc-ee's, we're going to Buc-ee's first. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, here we are going down to a asylum. And I know I was, okay. Well, was excited, not more excited than the investigation, but I was excited for freaking Buc-ee's. First impression of Buc-ee's, if you haven't been there, it's pretty cool. Uh, I liked it. Busy, and I might have been a little bit naive. I didn't think it was gonna be that busy, and I know that every one of them is like really freaking, but I didn't think it was gonna be that busy. And we pulled in, it's like holy shit. We found a spot, so it wasn't too bad. So I got a brisket burrito, warm peach cobbler. I got some beef jerky. I think I still have some left, as a matter of fact. Beef jerky. I bought me a Buc-ee's shirt. Hell yeah, I can't go down to Buc-ee's without getting a Buc-ee's shirt. I got me a Buc-ee stuffed beaver, which is in the back of the car right now, and a brownie. Spent like 55 bucks, but you know what? It was worth it. And then everyone else, bought some stuff too. And it's kind of cool because I guess, again, I've never been to a Buc-ee's, but I guess it's kind of like it's like a sports mascot where they have a costume on. I guess there's a dude that comes out with a Bucky the Beaver costume, and they just walked him out, and I was like the first one. There wasn't even a line yet, and my friend that was there with me, he's like, "Oh, dude," he goes, "Give it a few minutes. There's going to be a humongous line," and sure as shit, humongous line. So like, and it's like, "Oh, I'm glad I was first in line." And he goes, "Dude, there was no line when you were there. He literally just came out." So I will post that on our Facebook page, Talking Paranormal with the Old Man. That's me. So yeah, so then we had a driving rainstorm, about 20 minutes, half an hour before we actually got to Bucky's, and drove through that. And Winchester, Indiana, that's where the asylum's at. Well, it's just outside town. So we were in the a enhanced risk for severe thunderstorms. So we're like, yes, severe thunderstorms makes for added activity, and it does, but it didn't because the storm's pissed out, and we did not get any rain the whole freaking night. Whatever. So, anyways, so the asylum from Bucky's was about an hour, very rural, which is fine by me. And we pulled up, and Miranda was waiting for us. She was our tour guide or contact, whatever. So we came in, we brought in all of our equipment, and then we went on a small tour. And the tour took like an hour, like 2 hours, man. And honestly, I mean, bless her heart, but I mean, yeah, we had it for like 16 hours, but it's like we wanted to investigate, And you know how it is when you want to do something and you can't because something's holding you up. And like I said, bless her heart. Like I said, I understand, bless her heart. But we just wanted to investigate. Even though we had 16 hours, we still wanted to investigate. So she had took us, we started in the basement, and then we, worked our way up, the first floor, second floor, and then the attic. And then she told us the stories about, what was there, who was there spirit wise. Supposedly, like 500 people have passed in the asylum. It was an asylum, a infirmary, and a poorhouse. So it held a lot of different titles over the years. And yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was a cool place. We kind of want to go back to it because it was a cool place, and we kind of know what to expect as far as what's there as far as spirit wise. So after the tour, we went outside, and I fired up the drone, and I was getting some good footage, from high up there and stuff, and it was getting, good pictures. And then I went around to the side of the asylum, and I'm like, I'm getting some good pictures, and I thought I saw something in the window, you know, through the drone. So I'm sitting there looking, and then the goddamn thing, it loses connection with the drone. So when it lost connection with the drone, and by it I mean the controller, the video stopped. So I had no way to get that back. You know what, maybe, I wonder. No, 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 I did. I took the video, the SD card out and popped it in the laptop. Nothing. So I had like a half an hour of video footage, nothing. So I need a new drone. If anyone has any recommendations for a new drone, let me know. This has happened twice now, where it lost connection and shit, and it's like, nah, I'm done. I'm done. Especially when we were 3.5 hours away, and the goddamn thing loses connection with the drone. Video's gone, and that was some good video. I have to admit, I was going to have to edit some of it because it was like herky jerky up and down. But it was a good video, and that kind of pissed me off. So, anyways, if you have a recommendation for a new drone, let me know in the comments, or shoot me a comment. Say, hey, dude, this one really works, or no, this one works. Seriously, because I'm in the market for a new drone. Piece of crap. So after we had the tour with Miranda, bless her heart, and we had the incident with the drone footage, piece of crap, then we started the investigation. So what we did is the rooms, except for the attic and the offices area, is identical. Each side is totally identical. If you're in the building, the left-hand side was the men's, the right-hand side was the women's. Well, so we set up cameras. We have 100 foot of cable for each camera. Yes, we still have cable. Okay, we still hook up cable, AV cable. I looked at getting into, and I actually purchased it for like 280, I think it was. It was a security system that was wireless. And I'm like, fuck, dude, wireless? That might not be a bad idea. But then I'm thinking about it, and for one thing, we use a 26-inch screen for just a TV, but we have the cameras hooked up to a DVR, then the DVR to the TV, obviously, so we can see it. So what's cool about it was, well, the one that I bought, but the screen was only like 10 inches. And it's like, God damn, that's gonna be really tough seeing whatever on a little small screen divided into four. So I returned it, and I went back to what we had. It works. It's just you just have to run cable, but you know what? It works. So you know what? My whole theory: if it ain't broke, you don't fucking fix it. So yeah. So we used that, and we had, and one of the I guess, I mean, it's well known, I guess. I guess Ida, she's in the actual basement. They put her in the basement as kind of like to keep her by herself. She was getting a little hard to handle. And then there was a boy that was in the first floor, second floor, first floor, I believe. He has his own room. And then on the second floor, and I might have had those mixed up, but on the second floor, they have like a one big open room for families that had kids and or infants or babies. And then I think that's it as far as, well, and then the dude that was pushed out. And again, you can look all this up on the internet, and they'll tell you the whole story. So we started by putting a camera in the hallway by Ida's room. Oh. And on the first floor, I believe, the judge, here comes the judge, here comes the judge. When he came to hold court, he had his own room, and then there was, I think, 3 doors down, there was a prison cell in a room. That was kind of cool. That was kind of cool. So I think that was on the first floor, I do believe. So we had a camera there. We had a camera down below where Ida's room was. And on the right-hand side, we had a camera in the actual basement too, just on the other side. And that was facing down towards the hallway. And in the basement, this is really freaking cool, is they had a room that was where they would, because it was a self-sustained farm, okay? So they had animals, livestock, they would kill them, slaughter them, and eat them essentially. So they had a cooler in this room that they would store the meat until they were going to use it. Well, what was cool, well, it's not cool, but they had a cholera outbreak. Okay. So they had bodies stacked like like oh, probably from what I think Miranda showed us, and it was like maybe 5 feet tall, just bodies of cholera victims. Well, there was this one guy that came in, and they thought that he had cholera and he had passed, and his family goes, no, 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 he had heart issues. We think he had a heart attack. So it's like, oh, okay. So they embalmed him and all that stuff, got ready for burial, and then the family goes, yeah, you know what? We don't want to bury. So it's like, okay, so check this shit out. They put him in the same freezer as the meat that they were going to consume, right? So body fluids start coming out. I'm not trying to be disgusting, but body fluids start coming out. It got mixed in with the meat. So yeah, I know, right? Isn't that fucked up? So they had two victims that had passed away, but they did not say of cholera because they didn't want it, attention brought on the asylum. So there was probably many more that passed that could be attributed to that incident with the dude and his body fluids. But again, they didn't want anybody to know because that would have brought attention to themselves, unwanted attention to themselves. So so that was cool. And then Miranda said that they put 18 inches of concrete. Oh, they had a dirt floor there. So under 18 inches of concrete, they have a dirt floor that still has the shit from cholera. People's blood, the cholera, what, germs, bacteria, whatever causes it, there too. So there's a door. So that room has two doors to the hallway. Okay. And to the left of the room, there's it was like a really small door. I mean, the door was like or the doorway was like maybe 4 feet tall, maybe 5 feet tall, maybe. Well, that's because when they raised the floor 18 inches for the concrete, that door was taller. So they basically sealed like a quarter of that door up when they poured that concrete. So that was cool. So anyways, so we had one camera, and these are static cameras, night vision. They can see in complete blackness. So we had one on either side, which was on the left-hand side, and we also had trail cams set up there. So then on the other side, on the first floor of the actual basement, by the room that had the freezer and the body fluid, again, we mirrored the other side. So we had a full spectrum camera. I'm sorry, a night vision camera, a static camera, and a trail cam. And then on the second floor, we put a camera up there, then a camera on the other side of that also. And then, I'm sorry, yeah, so we had a basement, first floor, and second floor. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it doesn't fucking matter. So we had one in the basement on each side, and I think the other one was on the second floor, which was the kids' room. Even though I said first floor, I think that was on the second floor. I don't know. I'm confused. I was tired. Give me a break. So either way, two in the basement and two either on the first or second floors. So we have two-way radios that we use to communicate during investigations. So we're not yelling. Obviously, we couldn't yell in this place. It was huge. But if we're in a house, cemetery, whatever, doing an investigation or bath, we have two-way radios. So I was in the hallway with Ida's room, and I'm putting down the 30-foot EMF tripwire that has even though I didn't hear it have sound. Might have to check that out. It has sound, and the EMF causes the lights to change color and go to where the spirit's heading to. So I was putting that down, and I had put a REM pod at the end of the hallway, and that led into the dining room kitchen area. And I was putting the tripwire in front of Ida's room, and one of our members called me on the radio and said, "You're in the wrong hallway." I'm like, what? No, no, this is Ida's, hallway. He goes, we saw an apparition in the other hallway. Again, remember, the right side and left side mirror each other. So I thought he was screwing with me. I really did. So I put down the tripwire. I went back. So on the first floor, technically, I guess, is where we had our stuff. And then there's charging rooms, um, well, one charging room. Then there's their little office, and upstairs on the second floor was rooms that I'm assuming were staff rooms when the asylum was a asylum. So we could sleep up there if we so wanted. Oh, fuck that. I paid money. I drove. I'm not going to sleep. I'm doing this all night. So I went up to the charging room. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? He goes, on camera 3, which is in the actual basement on the other side of Ida's room, where the freezer's at. He goes, we saw an apparition walk from left to right. It was, transparent, and he went into that first room. So I went downstairs and on the right hand side of the basement, and yes, where that spirit went to was the room beside the freezer room that had the cholera. Yeah, I know, right? So when I'm set, so I said I have not watched anything yet. So when I set up the trail cam in that same hallway, right hand side of the actual basement, I did when I was copying it to my computer, I did see, I did see where it went to. So I went live for a very, I think it was like a 5 minute, 10 minute live on our Facebook page, Southeast Michigan Ghost Hunter Society. And when I was setting up so you could see me, I set up the trail cam. I took like 3 or 4 steps back. And then you see an or, like I said, I'm the first. You're not preaching to the choir. Not all orbs are spirit orbs. Some of them are dust. Some of them are pollen. Some of them are animal dander, moisture if you're outside, whatever the case might be. But and the only way to tell if an orb is an orb, a spirit orb, is if it shows intelligence. This orb showed intelligence. I backed up and I stopped, and this orb went past my leg and went into the same room. It actually turned into the room beside the room that had the freezer and the cholera victims. So yeah, and there were, and I know, well, it was air conditioned. No, no, dude, there was no air conditioning in there. Okay, I had sweat where should have been no sweat. Okay, it was hot there. So no, it was not air conditioning. The fan did not come on. No, no. So yeah, so that happened, which was really freaking cool. And then our other 2 members went outside, and out behind the barn and out behind the other side of the property are 2 unmarked graveyards from the victims of the cholera and whatever else, who was killed in the asylum. So they have 2 pauper sections. They're not marked, so there's no tombstones, nothing. You do not know who was there, but you can see the ground is uneven. So yeah, so pretty sure Miranda said that one had like 210 victims buried there. She thinks one of them might have been a mass grave for the cholera victims, and the other one was, I think she said 52 people were buried in that one. So I was up on the second floor or the first floor, I don't remember, where the kids room was at, kid room was at. And there's toys in there. So we have LB, and LB is a bear that is made specifically for the paranormal investigations. He reacts to temperature change, vibration, touch, and movement. So he cannot record, but he talks. So, for example, if he senses a touch on his paw, he'll say, "Ooh, was that you? Do you want to play?" And then he'll keep on talking. Like he'll say, "What's your favorite color?" So he's trying to get the spirits to interact with him. But again, we have to have the tape recorder. So give me a second, guys. I got to drink some more of my A&W root beer float. Voice is getting a little scratchy. Hold on. Excuse me. So yeah, so and we call him little bastard because we got him uh, pre-COVID when we did a hospital, Lorraine, Ohio. It was a St. Joseph's hospital. It had closed down and they were offering overnight investigation, so we did, yeah, let's do this. So we did. And we got him 2 days before the investigation. So we had no time to field test him to see how he worked, if he did work. So we were in the hospice section of the hospital, and there was like five of us up there at that time, and LB was on a counter with a tape recorder. So we're off in these other rooms, and we heard a voice, and it sounded like a little kid, like holy shit. So it's like all four of us come running out of these rooms, like, did you all hear that? Like, yeah, who was it? So we're trying to find out where this kid's voice is coming from, and it's freaking LB. It's like, so that's why we call him little bastard, because he won't shut up when he starts to talk. So anyways, LB was in this kid's room, and my kid's room was only one kid. And since he was a kid, I'm not going to say who he was. So, and it's quiet, and I'm in the hallway right in front of the room. I'm taking pictures. I'm checking the thermal imaging, see if I get a hit, whatever. And I'm sitting there, and LB ain't talking. So okay, dude, thank you. If you want to talk to anybody, talk to the red light. It's a microphone. They'll hear, I'll hear your voice if there's anything that you want said. So I walked 2 rooms down on the right. LB starts talking. So I went back to the kids' room there. Oh, okay, I guess you're not done talking yet. Okay. Uh, if I can take your image, please let me take your image, yada yada yada. So that went on for 3 or 4 minutes, and then the two members outside said that this kid was communicating with them. And I know what you're saying, dude. What have you been smoking? No, I ain't been smoking nothing. It is possible for the spirits to communicate with you. So two of our members were communicating with a phone app, and he said that he was going back to his room. And that's about the same time that I started to get activity with LB. So then they came up, and they went into the kids' room, and they both sat in chairs. And right before they did that, though, I had a hit on the thermal imaging camera in the hallway. There was like a small heat signature in the hallway, which there's no light. There's no lights up there. We had everything turned off. We were pitch dark. Because the old saying goes, ghost hunters do it in the dark. Yeah, we do. So I'm not for sure. Like I said, I'm not for sure what the thermal hit was, but again, I just looked at it on my laptop. I'll put it on my PC over here, bigger screen. So they they go into the kids' room, and one of them sit behind LB, the other one sits in front of LB, and we were getting hits on the thermal imaging camera that there was something behind the member that was sitting behind LB. And she goes, "Yeah, I'm feeling cold on my arm." And I looked with my thermal imager, and yeah, there was a cold hit, thermal imaging hit, where she said that she was feeling cold. And then she also said that it was like, if you want to touch my hand, feel free. Well, I got a thermal imaging hit where something is touching her wrist, and she goes, I can feel it. So, and then in the kitchen, so that was one thing that happened. Then in the kitchen, Doris, she was a longtime resident there, and her presence wasn't there, but there was something about the cooler and in that one corner. One member got an interesting picture in that corner off of her phone, and people that walked into the cooler just they said I mean, I went in there and I didn't really sense anything, but a couple of people said that they went into the cooler and they just it felt off. So and then we went upstairs to the attic, hotter and shit up there, and one of our other members that was with us got a really interesting picture up there. But Miranda said that there have been reports of a girl up there with yellow eyes. And you know what that means, don't you? She's the yellow-eyed demon from Supernatural. See? You think I didn't remember that, huh? Yes, but anyways, so yeah. So we did not see her, but one of our members has one of those EMF bells, like like ring bell for service, ding ding. Well, it's an EMF meter. So if there's any kind of EMF change, ding ding, and we were getting dings up in the corner by the chimney where the yellow-eyed girl had been seen in the past. So that was kind of cool. And then we used that for basically, one ding for yes, two dings for no, to try to communicate with the spirits. A few times we had some interesting answers, if you believe in that kind of stuff. So yeah, so overall in all, like I said, would love to go back. It was a cool ass place, and hopefully one day we can go back now that we know of the place and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, all in all, it was fun. Came home on Sunday afternoon. I've been up the whole day since about 5:15 in the morning on Saturday. So, but I wasn't really tired. I drove home. I drove us home in the van, dropped off the van at Enterprise. I'm like, fuck it. It's still only like 4 o'clock. I'm going to Myers for my shopping. So I went to Myers and did my shopping. Then I came home and I crashed. I'm watching TV and I'm like, I woke up like 3 hours later. It's like 9 o'clock. I'm like, I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. And I slept in until like 8 o'clock on Monday. I was off on Monday because I have found in my old age, I'll be 62 this year. In my old age, it takes me a little bit way longer to recover from overnight investigations. Before, I could do an overnight on a Saturday, sleep some on Sunday, be ready to go on Monday. But when I'm getting older, and it's a little bit harder for me to recuperate. So I took Monday off because I knew it was gonna be it was gonna be tough. I knew it was gonna be tough. So yeah. So anyways, again, thank you for putting up with me till the end. The next weekend, hopefully I can be back on Sundays. And go check out my YouTube reaction channels. I haven't done. I did something on Wednesday for Ozzy. Ozzy died a year ago on Wednesday. Technically on Tuesday, but so he died. So I did him, and I did a on the YouTube channel, Paranormal. I did essentially the same thing that I did here. So I'm going to be doing hopefully next weekend. Hopefully I can get some more videos done. Just had another time, and especially last weekend. So again, thank you for listening and putting up with me. Again, you have to be more afraid of the living than you do the dead. Ain't that fucking right? Stay away from the light, unless that's your thing, baby. Then knock yourself out. And until we meet again, bye-bye.
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Goodbye.